it was definitely a learning experience, and it really helped me, decide that was the career I wanted to go forward and move on with.
Welcome to Black and Blue, the podcast that's just for you. We bring solutions to everyday problems. We are here to humanize the badge by interviewing first responders and discussing their trainings, experiences, publications. Black and Blue airs weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in.
Sting operations, posing as a prostitute on the street, they were kind of asking girls from patrol if they could get some new faces out there. And I started doing that. And that's really where my passion came from, and really wanted to continue on and see what it would be like to work with the unit. And so it was literally on the job, learning to, it's a fine line, act like this is going to happen, but don't touch me, that kind of thing. Yeah. And, it was definitely a sticky situation sometimes, and learning on the job. But also, I unfortunately worked an area there in Maryville Precinct where I also worked patrol, and that probably wasn't wise. Early on, though, I realized I'm a blonde light bulb standing out there. I need to do things to change up what I look like. And so I think I'm one of the only girls that ever wore wigs, but I would throw on a brown wig, a red wig, a dark pink wig, just to change up what I look like, because I didn't want to get recognized because I am working patrol in this same area, and that would be officer safety and super dangerous if I got recognized.
Any experiences that you could share with us?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's exciting. It's a fun job to do. Mm-hmm. The purpose of it is to target sex buyers. And so we are posing as prostitutes to engage in a conversation where an offer or agreement for a sex act in exchange for compensation happens. And it is fun to do. It is, really fun to not be in uniform or have to, take radio calls, hanging out your whole shift. Of course, you have to write all these reports and book all these people sometimes. But we used to create like a challenge, like in the conversation, you had to say a word like pickle or banana or some funny word that if you, made it into a sentence and got it out, you would, get people to buy you lunch and things like that. I know I once had a deal in literally 45 seconds. I went out from the hotel door, first vehicle that saw me flipped around and pulled up on me, and it was pretty simple and easy to do. So I might hold the record for 45 seconds for a deal. But it was definitely also tricky situations. I mean, you've got individuals that carry weapons, that are high on drugs, that are actually inebriated while driving, that try to touch you, try to hold on to you. You're standing outside the car. So it can be very dangerous as well. And for sure, later on, when we started engaging with traffickers, I have had traffickers, one of which that I had arrested, recognized me, and when he flipped around, I wasn't going to stick around to find out what he wanted to say to me or do to me, so I ran up the stairs, and he ended up getting pulled over, and he did have a gun in the car. So it is definitely dangerous, for sure. Have the conversations earlier than you think. The national average, when I first started investigating this crime, was 15. It is now 13, and it's inching closer and closer to 12, 11 years old of a person entering into the life of sex trafficking if they are successfully lured away. And so having the conversation earlier, talk to your kids about strangers that are trying to encourage them to delete conversations or encourage them to create a secret profile that you, mom and dad, don't know about, or encouraging them to speak in a code using, a safe word or an indicator through an emoji of some kind that the parents walked in, or those kind of things. But also for me in the sex trafficking realm, when these kids are lured away, the isolation and keeping them away from family and friends is so important to the trafficker, making them completely dependent on the trafficker. So they try and remove them from the familiar. So they're going to take them to another state. And imagine being 13 years old, you have no ID, you ran away, you probably don't have the phone that you originally ran away with because the trafficker took it. And so they gave you this phone that you're supposed to communicate with buyers on. You don't have any phone numbers saved in the contacts list.
Yeah.
What 13-year-old remembers or has their parents' phone number memorized anymore these days?
Yeah.
And you can't talk to the police because this trafficker is filling your head with the idea, and he's not half wrong, that the cops are just going to arrest you because you've been committing a crime of prostitution. So what are you going to do? You're going to stay in that situation until you can find home, because you can't get on a plane, you can't get on a bus, you have no ID, you know what I mean? All of those things. So it's very, very concerning that if we don't have these conversations early on and it gets to that point, we've already lost. We've got to have, as parents, you've got to step up. We've got technology now that we didn't have before. We don't even know probably how bad it's going to be. We're just barely touching the surface on how bad it is with all the technology coming out that kids have access to since they were toddlers.